Okay. We got a few folks jumping into the webinar today. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the chat today. For those of you joining us, let's give people a couple minutes to arrive and get in here. For the people in here, drop us a comment in the chat. And I'd love to know where you're joining us from, right? If you're just jumping in, drop a comment in the chat so you can actually see everybody. I'll drop mine. I'm joining you guys from sunny Mexico today. Where are you guys joining us from? Drop us a comment in the chat. Grace us with your with your information. Dallas, Texas. Nice. I should be in Dallas in a few weeks at a conference. I love Dallas. Love the Metroplex. Kansas. All right. Kansas. Here we go. Allentown, Pennsylvania. Man, those are those election ads getting in the way now? I was watching baseball yesterday. It wasn't Pennsylvania, but it was Wisconsin. Holy cow, a lot of election ads going up all over the place. So you guys are probably getting, yeah, man, you're getting bombarded. Hey, we've only got a month left, guys. Only got a month left for election ads. San Francisco, Napa. Oh, man, I love Napa. Beautiful area. All right, who else? Drop a comment. Where are you joining us from? Let us know where you are. I'd love to get a feel for where everybody's from. We got a good chunk of the country already covered. East Coast, West Coast, Heartland, everybody. Anybody else? Let us know. West Virginia. All right. Denver. Cool. Love that. Love Denver. Been to Denver. I was in Denver in January. So it is definitely an experience being in Denver in January. Love it. Went to a conference there. Tulsa, Oklahoma. I love it. Everybody else, drop us a comment. Tell us where you're from, where you're joining us from. We are about to get started. If you guys want to join or here to talk about how to get, hold on, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Don't want to do that. Share screen one. There we go. So if you guys are here to learn, to talk about, to get educated on how to get sellers in 90 days with an ISA, you are in the correct webinar. Okay, you made it. If you're here, if you don't want to learn about that, you might be in the wrong place. But anyways, if you guys want to talk about ISAs and how to have success and how to increase your chances of success with ISAs, you are definitely in the right place. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Love it. Hope you guys did okay with that hurricane. How about that hurricane last week, guys? Wow. Hope everyone's staying safe. The folks out on, North Carolina. Emily is in Eastern North Carolina, so I think you guys did okay. Hopefully everything's all right in Eastern North Carolina. But it was crazy, guys. So love it. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're about to kick this off. Let's get started. We have a full docket of content that I want to get to, and I want to make sure I get to it. You guys, thanks for jumping in for this webinar. As always, if you guys stick around to the end, I actually have two special offers for you guys, okay? And you'll find out what they are in a little bit. But I've got two special offers. So if you stick around to the end, you shall be rewarded. So check this out. All right, let's get popping. This is the agenda for today. I always want to start these webinars with this quick 3-slide state of the current real estate market. And then I'm going to jump into some prospecting case studies and then online. We're talking about online leads. The goal is to generate sellers, okay? The goal is to generate sellers. Anna, Anna, don't worry. This session is being recorded. It'll be within the Lab Coat Agents Facebook group in about an hour. And it'll actually be on YouTube today. In a couple hours, it will be on YouTube. So if anyone has to step out for a bit, don't worry about it. This will be recorded. It'll be on YouTube same day. And that hadn't happened for a while. So I'm very impressed. Love it. Love doing that, Lab Coat Agents. It'll be in a couple hours on the Lab Coat Agents YouTube channel or within the Facebook group. You got an option, right? So don't worry about that. All right, let's jump in. Folks, current state of the real estate market, okay? This is happening nationally. This is not any one market, but check it out. The sales are down, okay? We're trending towards 3.86 million sales this year. Guys, a typical market for the last 10, 20 years has been average of 5 million sales, right? We're still not back to the number we want to see. Sales are trending downward. They're down month over month. They're down year over year, right? I think I interpret this as a lot of folks on the fence because of the interest rate situation. We'll see how this plays out. Inventory is up. Inventory is up 30% year over year. Let me say that again. Across the country, inventory is up 30% year over year, but it hasn't had a major effect on sales, not yet, right? And here's the crazier part. Median sales price is actually still up year over year, okay? We haven't seen a decrease in prices, right? Which I think is kind of crazy, but that's the market that we're in, all right? So folks, this is where we are. Inventory is going up. Prices have not gone down, but sales have definitely gone down over the last year. What does this mean to you? Why is this relevant, guys? Okay, check this out. I love showing this chart. This is the median sales price. This is sold price, okay? Median sold price for the country. After going up like a rocket ship, the gray bar here on the timeline, this is the COVID pandemic, okay? This is the initial lockdown phase for the COVID pandemic. Prices shot up like a rocket ship, okay? And what's been happening over the last 12 months, okay? We are seeing a slight trend downward on median sold price. This is for the whole country, not your particular market, for the whole country. Prices for the whole country are starting to decrease, all right? Which I think is interesting. And if we look at the inventory, active inventory, I told you guys, 30% increase year over year. We are almost, not 100%, but we are almost to where we were before the pandemic, all right? And for the longest time, we were a third of pre-pandemic inventory. We were half of pre-pandemic inventory. Next year, 2025, we might actually get to 2019, right? The past is back. We might actually get the pre-pandemic inventory levels. I would just love to see pre-pandemic sales level. I want to see 5 million units sold in the US. I really want to see that. Hopefully next year we'll get back on track. I think if you're thinking what I'm thinking, I think this is going to be positive for the market. We're starting to see the beginning of interest rates start to go down across the country, okay? We're going to start the US Fed is easing interest rates. And before you tell me, I totally understand. This doesn't directly affect mortgage interest rates, but it influences mortgage interest rates, okay? The Fed rate plus the activity in the bond market, all of those things affect mortgage interest rates. We've seen mortgage interest rates go down from the mid sevens to the lower sixes over the last 12 months. I think that's the important thing to pick up on, right? And we're seeing a trend downward. All right. We're seeing a trend downward on interest rates. So hopefully this all comes together in the next 12 months, in the next few months, to give us more inventory, right? And get people into the market, get more buyers with more affordability, prices coming down a little bit, interest rates coming down a little bit. And a lot of folks that were locked into their interest rate at 3% are going to feel the need to make that move. That's my hope, right? And we should see that play out in the next 6 to 12 months. All right. Okay. That's it. That's it for state of the market. I want to get into these specific case studies. I'm going to start with prospecting. You guys aren't here to learn about the real estate market. You're here to learn about how to get sellers. Well, guess what? This prospecting remains one of the top ways to get in front of sellers almost immediately. And it's very difficult to beat the activity you can do with prospecting. But before we jump into the prospecting part, I need to tell you about a model that we call shaking the tree. Folks, if you want to have success with an ISA getting you sellers, folks, you've got to understand this principle, shaking the tree, shaking the tree. I have never seen a team be successful with an ISA cold caller that doesn't follow this model. This is important, okay? Pay attention. Appointments aren't always the goal, okay? The goal is to get in front of as many qualified sellers as possible. What does that mean, Gus? I'll explain. A big source of failure for real estate agents with ISAs is the incorrect expectation that if they hire an ISA to make calls for them, but especially for prospecting, if they hire an ISA to make calls for them, then they're just going to sit back and let the listing appointments roll in, and they're just going to go and sign a bunch of listings once they hire an ISA. And that is just not true. Okay. I'm here to tell, I do this for a living. I help real estate agents hire ISAs. I should know. If this were true, I'd have a million ISAs working for me, and we just sign listings left and right. It doesn't work that way. It's more complicated than that, right? I'm here to tell you the truth. You may not want to hear this, but this is how it actually works. The highest and best use of your ISA making calls for you, prospecting calls, is to have them make the 300 calls that it takes to find one or two qualified sellers to hand off to you. Okay? This is emphasizing your role in the process. If the ISA's job is to make 300 calls to get you one potential seller, your job is then to make that connection with that potential seller, right? To talk to them, to see what the situation is, to provide your local expertise, to make that personal connection and take them to the finish line, all right? If you adopt that model, instead of, I only want appointments that are saying yes, you are 10 times more likely to be successful. In fact, not even 10 times more likely. I've never seen the other model work. I have seen this model, shaking the tree, work time and time again. If you understand that the job of your ISA is to give you as many qualified sellers every day as possible, you can be successful, all right? If you only want your ISA to give you come list me appointments, you're never going to be successful. It doesn't work that way. All right, great. Now that I've made that point, let's jump into it. All right, prospecting, okay? Prospecting, why is this so powerful? Why do people have such great results with this? Guys, it is the second most profitable way to generate sellers. What's the most profitable way? Your own personal database, right? But there's a lot of limitations to that. Prospecting has way less limitations. You can talk to way more people, and it is the second most profitable way to generate sellers, okay? It has some of the highest converting lead sources you can call. Expired listing, for sale by owner, and canceled withdrawn. Okay, I'll get more into detail on each one of those, but these are some of the highest converting lead sources, and I'll show you real case studies of people having success with this right now, not last year, not 6 months ago, this month, in the last 30 days, all right? It is much more scalable than calling your personal database for all the reasons I just mentioned, all right? Folks, okay, it is, like I mentioned, one of the fastest ways to talk to a motivated sellers, all right? And a lot of people, they don't like cold calling. They don't love to do cold calling. And let me tell you, even the people doing it at the highest level don't like it. And they don't love it. But if you can do something you don't absolutely love for an hour or two a day, you can actually transform your business, all right? When you're talking to sellers, expired sellers, canceled sellers, for some owners, you're actually bringing them some good news, okay? You're bringing them some good news because look at what I just showed you. Inventory is going up, all right? That is great if you're a buyer. If you're a seller and inventory is up 30% year over year, that's not that good news if you're a seller, guys, okay? That is why I showed you that state of the market at the beginning. You have to take that information, again, make it local. It's not useful to use national numbers locally. Use local numbers, which will reflect that. I know if nationally we're seeing 30% more inventory, that means in some markets, and I know this is true in some more parts of Florida, some parts of Texas, inventory is up 100% from a year ago, okay? They're having double the inventory, double the competition that you had only a year ago for less buyers. You have double the competition for a smaller buyer pool, all right? You got to educate your sellers on that. You got to tell them, if you have motivation, we got to get you on the market now, all right? We have a great combination of factors. We have relatively low competition for now, and we have lower interest rates. When should you be selling? You should be selling now. That is the message you've got to tell motivated sellers, all right? There are more numbers to call, And it is a lot easier to make these calls than a year ago. Why? Because a year ago, interest rates were at 7.5%. Okay. Now that they're at 6% and trending lower, this is a great time to be telling people you should be selling. If you're thinking of selling, don't wait for the spring, okay? Because you're going to be competing with everyone and their mom if inventory continues to rise, which I think it will. All right, great, awesome, Gus. I'm convinced prospecting is the way to go. How do I do it? You got to get the right data. You got to get the right dialer. You got to get the right scripts. And here's a big thing that people miss. You got to do some tuning. You got to do a little bit of optimization. I'll explain. If you guys are calling, let's say you're doing circle prospect, okay? Probably the best source of data for that right now is RedX. RedX GeoLeads. RedX GeoLeads is the best, probably the best product on the market right now for circle prospecting because it gives you, I think, about 7,500 or 10,000 leads a month. And that is more than you need for your ISA to call or even you to call, right? If you don't have an ISA, you are the ISA, all right? I'm going to say that interchangeably. If you're calling expired and FSBO, in my experience, Vulcan 7 has the edge. If you're calling individual expired or FSBO or old expired, okay? The share group is a great source of data if you're targeting for rent by owners, if you're targeting downsizers, that's another great source. And then last but not least, we have Mojo, okay? Of all the ones I mentioned, I like Mojo the least because some of their data can be a little bit more out of date. It's cheaper, it costs less, but you know what? You get what you pay for sometimes, right? But I leave it on the list because some of my clients do have success with Mojo, right? So it definitely can happen. If you're talking about dialer, what dialer do you need? Guys, a lot of agents get tripped up on this, okay? If you're doing circle prospecting, then you should definitely look into a multi-line dialer. If you're doing circle prospecting, or if you have a list of thousands of numbers you want to get through, a multi-line dialer can make sense. For everything else, expired, FSBO, canceled, for rent by owner, you don't need a multi-line dialer. I'll say that again. For everything but circle prospecting, you don't need a multi-line dialer. In fact, a multi-line dialer can probably mess you up more than it can help. Why? Because of anti-spam targeting, guys. The carriers don't want you to call a ton of people every day, right? iOS and Android don't want you to dial a ton of people every day. This is the bane of my existence. You got to get that number whitelisted. You got to register it with Mojo or Colt, whatever system you use. They all have this. Register your number, make it a verified caller, tell them who you are, and you are much more likely to get a decent contact rate. If you don't do that, you're dead in the water. You're never going to talk to anybody, right? This is the number one issue we deal with when we're doing cold prospecting, all right? When we're talking about scripts, I'll mention that when I go through each one of these examples, but the script has to be on point, right? You've got to have the right targeted message depending on the lead source, and it depends on each lead source has a different message. You got to understand that, and your ISA and yourself have to execute on that message for each individual lead source. And when we're talking about optimizing and tuning, I mean this, guys. A lot of agents mistakenly focus on how many dials. Sorry, not mistakenly. They mistakenly only focus on the amount of dials that their ISA is making every day. Okay, there's some truth to that. You should look at that number, but it's not the only number that matters. Okay, what matters most at the end of the day is how many conversations your ISA is having. All right, I was just looking at a campaign this week. 500 dials in a full-time shift. That's massive. That's enormous. That's a huge amount of dials. How many actual conversations? Less than 20 conversations per day. That's not good enough. They're probably, and this is what I suggested, they might be dialing way too fast. They're not talking to enough people. They gotta be talking. If you're making 500 dials, you want to be talking to 50 people every single day. If you're not doing that, you might have to make some adjustments, okay? But 5 to 10% contact rate is normal for these kinds of calls. 5 to 10% contact rate for cold prospecting is normal, is probably what you're going to get if you do things the right way, okay? Any links to register a number you can share? Jim, I don't have a link myself, But these tools, they have a service like that. Mojo has that service. Call Tools has that service. Get on the whitelist. They provide it as part of their dialer. If they don't provide it, they're not going to get through. You're not going to talk to enough people. You'll talk to people for a few hours, and then you'll suddenly get no one answering because your number has been tagged as spam. Spam likely, or guess what? The number won't even ring, guys. We hear a voicemail or we hear no one picking up, but the truth is that never even rang on the other side. That's what usually happens, okay? But when you're talking about optimizing and tuning, it is find the sweet spot to talk to the largest amount of people every single day. I'll give you an example. We did this on my team. I have a cold calling team within PowerISA. We tested out single line dialer, same people, same list, same hours, single line dialer for 1 week, double line dialer, 2-line dialer for the second week, and triple line dialer the third week, okay? Obviously, with the triple line dialer, we called more numbers. Obviously, that's a given. But we actually talked to more people with the 2-line dialer. We had more conversations, slightly more conversations with a 2-line dialer than with a 3-line dialer, mainly because it took longer for our number to be tagged as spam, okay? It actually got through to more people. So that's what I mean by optimization and tuning. And this is something that we're really, really good at PowerISA, right? We've got to find the right combination of dials and contacts to actually get some progress. If you don't do this, guys, this is getting ready. This is setting the table. This is the preamble. If you don't do this, you're never going to make progress. This is where a lot of agents get stuck and you don't move on to the next step, okay? Here we go. Let's jump into it. This is the meat of the presentation. We're entering it right now. Folks, expired, canceled, and withdrawn listings. This continues to be the #1 source, and it's only getting better. Let me repeat that. Expired and canceled listings we're already good. They're getting better. Why? Because of the numbers I just showed you at the beginning of this presentation. More inventory and prices starting to go down. What does that mean? It's taking longer to sell some of these homes. That's what it means. A lot of sellers entered this market expecting things to be super hot, and they were not, okay? And you might know what I'm talking about. That when the market shifts, there's always opportunity. There is an opportunity now with expired and canceled listings. And you don't even have to focus on the brand new expireds. Folks, you or your ISA should be calling 12-month-old expireds, 18-month-old expireds. If I were going crazy, I would go all the way back to June of 2022. Me personally, June of 2022, because that's when the market started to shift. If they wanted the list in June of 2022, they missed the peak of the market, okay? They expired that summer of 2022, and they haven't sold yet. They're kicking themselves. They don't want to forgive themselves for not having sold at the absolute top of the market, which was about midway 2022, okay? If they expired after that, it's because the market shifted right beneath their feet. I wouldn't be calling people all the way back there if they haven't relisted or resold, okay? That is the biggest thing. It's a huge opportunity. Rachel, absolutely we're changing the phone number frequently. I recommend changing it every week, just as good measure. If you have a verified number, it'll last longer, but we just change your number every week just because. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing bad will happen if you change your number too often. Nothing wrong. If you don't change it too often, your contact rate will go to 0, okay? To 0. It won't get bad. It'll go to 0. If you're doing these kind of calls, usually within a day or two, sometimes within an hour or two, depending on where you're calling. So you got to have that verified number. And yes, number rotation is definitely the name of the game, okay? So you're calling those expired and canceled, your ISAs calling them. And the key message you want to give to an expired and a canceled right off the bat is, are you still accepting offers on 123 Main Street? That's that is your text message. That is the voicemail, right? And when you get them on the phone, your main job is to gauge motivation, guys. Are they still interested in selling? Would you still accept an offer from a qualified buyer? I'm just curious. That's what your ISA should be asking 25 times a day. Are you still accepting offers from a qualified buyer? would you still accept one? If you would have sold, where would you go to? What was your plan back then? Okay. You might be talking to a 6-month-old expired. What was your plan to move 6 months ago? What was the plan? If we could make that happen, would you be interested? Right? We're seeing interest rates finally come down. You don't want to be listing when everyone's listing in the spring. You want to list when less people are on the market, which is right now. Okay. Seasonally, we'll see less competition from September to March just because. That's just the way real estate works. You want to list now when less people are on the market and interest rates are lower. There's a larger buyer pool than there was 6 months ago. There's a larger buyer pool because more people qualify now than did 6 months ago. Do you want more buyers and less competition? Well, yeah, then we should talk now. I know you're thinking about the spring because that's what your other realtor told you. But Mr. Seller, let's be honest, they didn't sell it last time, right? Why don't you give me 5 minutes and see what I have to offer to tell you what I'm going to do to get your home sold? Because you should not be waiting for the spring. Start the conversation that way. And I think you're going to get a different response. You'll get some curiosity, okay? Are they committed to anybody else? Tell them where the market is at, right? Like I said, inform them. Inventory going up and interest rates going down means you should be moving now. We should take action now, not wait until everyone and their mom is trying to sell their home. They're out from under their COVID mortgage, right? Their COVID refi. As interest rates start to trend down, my prediction is that we're going to get more inventory. People are going to get out from under that mortgage. They've been wanting to move for 2 years, for 3 years. But that sweet 3% COVID refi was just not letting them. Why would you, right? They might have an extra kid in the house. They might have a remote job and they need more room. But it's hard to say no when you've got a 3% locked in rate and the rates were at 7.5% a year ago. Okay. It's hard to say no to that. As rates start to go down, that calculus is going to change. Expired and canceled, it's essentially the same message. Are you still accepting offers? What is the interest? What is the motivation to sell, right? That's what your ISA should be asking every single day. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times to these sellers. Would they still accept an offer from a qualified buyer? If they don't hang up on you and they don't say no, that ISA should hand them off to you. Qualified seller. What does a qualified seller mean? I should have said this before. Qualified seller means, I keep it really simple. Confirmed homeowner. You're talking to the homeowner. Confirmed contact information, number 2. And then number 3, they've got a question or some curiosity about selling their home, okay? It can take 30 conversations to get one qualified seller. It can be less. It takes about 30 conversations with these kinds of leads. Maybe get down to 20. That's great. But it takes multiple conversations to find someone willing to admit over the phone that there's some interest there, all right? And your ISA shouldn't bother with setting the appointment. You don't even know if they're fully qualified yet. They should hand them off to you. Every day, your ISA gives you 1 or 2 of these leads, and that becomes your follow-up pipeline, your leads to talk to, have a conversation with, and follow up with once a month, okay? If you want to be successful with these leads, and I'll show you the case studies in a minute. Here we go. For sell by owner, you can have your ISA call these too. This is a different approach, okay? FSBO is completely different than expired. FSBO is completely different than expired. I'll tell you why, okay? The for sale by owner, they initially, calling an expired on the first day is a good strategy. If you're one of the first people to talk to an expired listing, you've got a shot at getting an appointment and talking to them that day, right? If you're the first person to talk to a for sale by owner, you have 0 chance to list them. I'm just going to say it. You have almost 0 chance because their motivation and their optimism is at an all-time high at the beginning, right? That's not true 2 weeks in. That's not true 3 weeks in. Your ISA should be calling every active FSBO in your area every Monday, okay? Every Monday. And it can take 2 to 6 touches to get that sweet spot of where they're no longer optimistic about selling right away in this really hot seller's market. That's what they heard. You got to be calling them every Monday until they're willing to hear your pitch. They're going to say no the first week. They might say no the second week. Once they're in that 2 to 6 weeks, that's a sweet spot. Most of them are going to give up in that time frame. And the ones that don't give up, you keep calling them, see how things are going. Are they ready to hear what you have to say to get their home sold? Okay. What do you have to lose, Mr. Seller? Hear what my agent has to say. As an ISA, hear what my agent has to say and what they're going to do to get your home ready to go and get actually sold. Okay. And then the message you want to give over text, over voicemail is 123 Main Street still available? That's what you're always asking. I'm just calling to check in. Is it still available? Okay. Great. It's a good conversation starter with a FSBO. All right. Here's another one that it's also can be very successful. Absentee owners. I still consider this an underutilized opportunity in most markets. How to get their attention? Are you the owner of 123 Main Street? If I'm an absentee owner myself, I have rental properties in Seattle. If someone messages me with this, I'm picking up the phone. I'm calling them. Like, what happened? Like, what happened to my property, right? I'm an absentee owner. I don't live in that area anymore. I don't live in that state. I don't live in the country, right? So I want to know what's going on with my rental property, okay? Very few agents have called me to ask me about that property. I'm embarrassed to tell you how few people actually called me. Since the pandemic, I can think of one agent that actually took the time to know who I was, learn a little bit about the property, and make a call. Actually, I don't know if it was an agent or an ISA. Actually, I'm not sure. But they actually did a little bit of work to understand what the property was, a little bit of the property history, and make a call and actually leave me a voicemail. One agent, okay? How long has it been since the pandemic? 4 years? 4 years. One agent, one person, maybe an ISA, took the time to actually leave me an interesting voicemail, right? Nobody else is doing this, all right? So I think there's an opportunity with for rent by owners. Another thing about for rent by owners, guys, I don't know if you're not a landlord, you might not know this, but rents are going down. I'm going to say that again. Rents in the US, after shooting up for the pandemic years, 10, 20, 30%, are actually starting to go down. This year in Seattle, I was not able to raise the rent because we had brand new rental units a mile down the road for the same price. So I knew if I raised the rent of my 8 tenants, I was incentivizing them to go get a new property. Brand new. The rent's going up. Hey, why do I even want them thinking that, right? I make more money if they just stay put. So I left them with no rental increase. In some areas, in some markets, rents are going down. In some markets, it's going down aggressively. You should be calling for rent by owners, absentee owners, and telling them this, right? This is why you're seeing pressure on your rents. Would you like to acquire another asset, diversify, cash out that property, right? Maybe the tenant trashed the place recently. That sucks as a landlord. It's not fun. You want to get out from under that property. Ask the question, would they accept an offer from a qualified buyer? Is there another asset they'd want to acquire, maybe diversify their investment portfolio? Just ask the question. Your ISA should ask this question 10, 20, 30 times a day. Absentee owners, and in some markets, this is a huge opportunity, guys. In some markets, this is a massive opportunity to get talking to potential sellers because of the pressure on rents. Use the market to your favor. Give them the data. Educate them, okay? Educate them. Okay, circle prospect. This is the last one on prospecting. Last one, I promise. Circle prospecting. Guys, so I'm going to show you some case studies. Circle prospecting still works. Circle prospecting still works. And I'll show you a way to combine this. So typically ISAs, when they're calling these lists, they don't just call one list. That just doesn't happen. They're calling several of these kinds of lists, okay? And whenever you've got a list, not just expired or canceled, whenever you have a listing that you're listing or someone from your office, you should be doing circle prospecting around that listing because that is a great excuse to make a call, get a conversation going, engage interest of sellers, right? A just listed call or a just sold call can really get their interest, all right? It is the largest list you're ever going to have. It's almost, not infinite, but almost infinite because you can turn around these lists every 3 months. You can call through it, put it on the side, wait a few months, and then call it again. All right. Circle prospecting is the easiest kind of call to make. It is also, and I'll be honest with you guys, the lowest converting call. You might have to have 50 conversations or more to get one qualified seller. For expired and withdrawn, 20, maybe 30, right? For circle prospecting, it's closer to 50 to get a qualified seller interested. All right. So contact rate becomes even more important. All right. Super good. All right. Let's jump into it. Case studies. All right. Johnny Wells, he's out of Austin, Texas, a market that is not doing great, guys. Austin is not doing great. Huge inventory in Austin. Prices are going down tremendously. They're down from the pandemic peak. He just got 6 listings in 6 weeks. He actually has 2 ISAs. So he's accelerating this, right? This is a home run. I'll be honest, this is not a typical result. He started with 2 ISAs, and he is a skilled cold caller. He just needed more people to talk to. What are his ISAs calling? What I just told you. He's actually focusing on expired, canceled, for sale by owner. And those are his main areas. And he's just getting started with absentee owners. He's just getting started. But FSBO, expired, canceled. Boom, boom, boom. Made those calls, got results right away because the market is in his favor. The market is working for him. We weren't getting these results earlier in the year. We're getting them now because of what I just told you, okay? I just dropped this interview. This is on YouTube. Joe Cordero, he's a great ISA. We just did almost a 1-hour interview on how he got 4 listings in 90 days, okay? 4 listings in 90 days, and I'll enumerate them. The first one was an expired listing. This was about 30 days in. Expired listing, had a great conversation, handed it off to his agent, got the listing. His second listing was from circle prospecting the first one, okay? They got it on the market. He did circle dialing around that listing, right? And he ran into someone that was considering selling, maybe yes, maybe no, maybe in the spring. And the agent got in front of them and they got that listing. They should list now, right? And he gave them all the reasons I just gave. They should list now. The third one was a for sale by owner, okay? The way I just described it to you, calling every Monday, about 3 Mondays in, the seller said, all right, Joe, I'll tell your agent, do they have time tomorrow? I'll hear what they have to say. Like it got exasperated. The guy just gave in. Okay, all right. You have time tomorrow. Great. That's awesome. Got in front of him, got the listing. FSBO was frustrated and they were motivated. Okay. Frustrated and motivated is not a bad combination when you're calling for sell by owners, right? And then the fourth listing, I think, was an absentee. I'll have to double check the video, but they got him from 4 different lead sources. Like they had every single lead source working for them, and it all came together within 90 days. I thought it was awesome. Here's another one, Charles Rosano, 52 attended appointments, and the first closing by the 2nd month, okay? And this was a combination of high converting leads, like an expired, like a for sale by owner, and just an ISA having a huge database to call, right? So this is what's possible. And this is Christian Hoang. This is also on my YouTube channel. You guys can check it out. He got his first listing within 2 weeks. He got his first listing within 2 weeks. How? Calling expired and for sale by owner. That's it. His ISA made the calls. Once they got someone that was interested, handed it off to Christian, and he took him to the finish line, okay? The only way you can get home run results like this, home runs, these are home runs, is because you're calling the highest converting leads. You're not going to get these results just doing circle prospect, right? It's much harder to do. If you're calling the highest converting leads, you can get results like this. This is Manar Siba, also on YouTube, 4 listings in 30 days with his ISA. All surprise, surprise, also doing expired, also doing for sale by owner. Just need to talk to more people. And this is a great case study. 2 listings a month from circle prospecting. This is Carlos Gonzalez, but it didn't start on month 1, okay? It took him a good 3 to 4 months to get this going. 2 listings a month from circle prospecting. Took him 3 months to get this going, but once it got going, they got 1 listing and then 2 listings, and they had enough pipeline to make that happen, all right? Last part of the presentation, we're going to be talking about internet leads. Okay. I know you guys have been waiting for this. Gus, what do you mean listing? What do you mean sellers from internet leads? This is not easy to do. This is actually not that easy to do from internet leads and actual sellers. Okay. You've got a few options when we're talking about seller lead generation online. There's only a few. Home valuation ads. How much is my home worth? Lead magnets. You can buy these Google keywords. How much is my home worth? Or you can try buyer ads, right? You can get some sellers from buyer ads. That's always a good option. But this is basically it, guys. And these can be really, really expensive. All right. What are some of the challenges here? It's pricey. Okay. It can get really expensive. Your initial approach, you have to understand the scripting scenario here. Okay. They're not asking you to sell their home. They're not asking you options to get their home sold. No, they are asking you for a home valuation. That's all. A lot of agents make the mistake of assuming that if they only want their home's value, they're just a looky-loo and they toss these leads. Okay. They just toss them. Guys, that's the wrong approach. Most agents fail with home valuation ads because they don't understand the approach, the scripting, the relationship that has to get built. This is what you have to do. They reach out and you reach out to them with a home valuation. That's what you should give them, right? And you should give them a range. And if they want a precise home evaluation, tell them the truth. To get you the most up-to-date value, I'd actually have to take a look at the property, okay? Again, no pressure. Whenever you're ready and you have some time, 5-10 minutes, I can swing by the property and give you the most detailed and up-to-date home valuation you're going to get, right? As if you were putting your home on the market. That's it, guys. And if they don't want that, that's fine, okay? Because some of these sellers are very top of the funnel. To actually convert them at a high level, you got to open the door and you got to add tremendous value and you got to give them what they want, which is a home valuation. If you push too hard on these leads, you're just going to push them away. A bad home valuation is very easy to get. A precise home valuation is harder. And if they want a precise home valuation, that is what you want, right? And you can convert these leads to get that. And it is, of course, a follow-up game, all right? Let me get through this. And, that is on the creative side. You got to have that home valuation. It can work. And the rest of it is follow-up, okay? You have to have solve 3 problems: speed to lead, follow-up, and nurturing. That's what the ISA is for. That's what the ISA is for. You got to figure that out, all right? So I'm going to jump here to the case study because we're running out of time. You can always get, by the way, you can always get access to this slide deck in its entirety. I'll tell you at the end how to do that. Folks, Matt McCormick with home valuation leads, 7 listings in 6 months. But the first 3 months, he got 0 listings. Let me just say that again. The first 3 months, he got 0 listings and then 7 listings in the 3 months after. But the first 3 months, he was having these conversations. He said the fastest that a seller converted was within 30 days. But most of them took 3 to 4 months of follow-up. Most of them took 3 to 4 months of follow-up. And folks, most agents are just not willing to do that. That is why you need an ISA. Matt McCormick actually has 2 ISAs. He has a human ISA and he has an AI ISA to call whenever the other one's not on the shift, right? Like they're calling the weekends and at night and in the mornings, and their human ISA picks up the slack. I mean, he's just doing it at a high level. And for the folks that are interested in how he did it, can we drop the Mescula offer, Yang, please? Folks, the marketing, so Matt McCormick wasn't exactly my client. He worked with our ISAs, but he actually worked with a marketing agency that is a client of mine. So I actually work for the marketing agency that sells him his leads, okay? And because of this webinar, they're actually making a special offer for you guys if you're interested in finding out how to get home valuation leads. Nothing different. These are home valuation leads that can perform at a high level, just like for Matt. The only reason I'm recommending this company is because I've seen proven results because they're combining really good ads with excellent ISAs. Because I provided them, right? I'm hiring them and I'm training them. So great ads plus great ISAs is a really killer combination. So talk to Mescula. We're dropping the link in there. You guys can check out their offer. Don't take my word for it. Talk to them. I've seen results from these guys. They do an excellent job. All right. Check it out. And last but not least, here's some quick pitfalls, guys. Like I said before, you're not going to get the results you expect if you don't understand that shaking the tree when it comes to prospecting. You got to be ready for those leads. If you need to be able to take a qualified seller to the finish line. And if you're not ready for that, then you need to prepare, right? I run coaching sessions just for real estate agents every week because I understand that sometimes they need to be trained on what to do with these qualified seller leads. If you need that coaching, get it. Because if you understand how to take a nurture from initial call to closing, all you need is to talk to more people. That's it. All right, guys, we've got 2 special offers here for you guys. Thanks for sitting through the whole presentation. Guys, if you want to get an ISA, mention this webinar, book a call, powerisa.com/LCA. You've been seeing that throughout. Like I mentioned, if you want the seller lead generation at a crazy good discount, crazy good deal, they're going to waive the setup fee. If you guys use, this is an affiliate link, full transparency, this is an affiliate link, but this is a company that I really, really trust. I know the owner, and we built their ISA team for them, so I really know they do a great job. So check it out if you guys are interested on the online seller lead generation using home valuation leads, all right? That's it, folks. If you guys want a copy of this presentation, like a physical copy, because I wasn't able to get through all the material because it was a lot, send me an email, info@powerisa.com. Send me an info, powerisa.com, and just mention, oh, I'm missing that. Let me shoot that slide. Put sellers in 90 days in the subject line. That's important. Put sellers in 90 days in the subject line. Email us at info@powerisa.com, and we will send you a copy of this whole deck because there's some great information here that I actually wasn't able to get to because I always run out of time, guys. I get into it. I love this. I enjoy this. This is fun for me. So shoot me an email and you will get a copy of the whole deck. Don't worry about it. And you will enjoy it and be able to go through it in detail. All right. You guys can enjoy that. Cool. I think that's it, guys. We're pretty much out of time right now. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. And I will see you on the next one. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you guys jumping in today. Chuck, yes, the replay will be available in the Lab Coat Agents Facebook group and on the YouTube channel today, okay? It'll be on the Lab Coat Agent. You can just Google Lab Coat Agents YouTube, and you'll get to their channel. It'll be posted today. They just told me. It'll be posted today within about a couple hours, all right? Cool. Oh, thank you, Young. All right, no worries. No, yeah, don't worry, Chuck. A lot of people get this at different times. We're busy, right? We're showing clients, we're attending appointments. That's no problem. We'll have the recording available in the Facebook group and on the YouTube channel today in a couple of hours, which I think is awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. See you on the next one.